this video, I'm going to explain why you cannot focus and why is it so difficult for you to sit behind a task and focus for a couple of hours, get into that flow state, and what you can actually do about it, a real change that is sustainable and long-term. So probably try to sit behind your desk, set a timer, and go into the deep work with that intention that you are going to finish the whole blog, get everything done, and progress with your task and with your business. But what happened is that you got distracted. You couldn't even finish the 15-minute blog or 60-minute blog. When you go on social media, you go on YouTube, you see these quick hacks, right? How to get back into the focus state, how to claim your focus in 5 minutes. These quick 5-minute hacks that most of the gurus preach. Now, I'm not saying that these are wrong. They work. But there are a couple of things that need to happen before that to actually learn and teach yourself to focus, because it's a skill, right? But there are certain components in a certain order that you need to follow to actually reach that flow state and pretty much unlock incredible levels of focus. My intention with this video is to show you some practical tips that you can apply whenever you get distracted and you need to go back to work. So procrastinating and not finishing your task is not going to be an issue anymore. Make sure that you stick around to the end of this video, because if you're an entrepreneur, then I promise you this is going to be worth watching. So I have my screen open right here to make sure that I cover everything. So let's just start with pretty much explaining why those 5-minute hacks that you see online or on YouTube are not actually that efficient, right? So maybe you were told, maybe you even tried this yourself. I had clients that tried all of these things to actually improve their focus and make sure they are not distracted. So a couple of things could be that you put your phone on airplane mode, right? You block social media pages and feeds with Chrome extensions or with some external apps. You silence the notifications, and you even put your phone in the other side of the room. So when I've heard these tips for the first time, I thought they were gonna be game changers. So when I started my self-improvement entrepreneurial journey, I thought that all I have to do is all of these 4 or 5 things that I've seen on the internet. So I've done all of that and still I couldn't achieve my peak focus. I got distracted and I just couldn't finish the task. I always stopped in the middle and I started doing something else, or I completely procrastinated on it and I went on social media. So my brain was playing a lot of games with me. So nothing was working. I still went on social media, even though I blocked the feed, even though I sometimes even uninstalled my apps from my phone, but I still managed to download them again and go on social media and waste my time. They're actually very efficient. But as I've said at the beginning of the video, a certain order of how you prime yourself to focus, and these are what I call surface level tips, surface level solutions. So what's the actual solution to all of this? And it's called internal change. So first you need to build strong foundations, because without strong foundations, you won't be able to build upon it. And by foundations, what I mean is to become this new version of yourself, a person for whom it's easy to focus for a couple of hours per day without getting distracted. Because if you try to hide your phone or even silence it or put it on airplane mode, you will still have that old programming of old behaviors and habits that will keep you stuck. So to give you an example on how I went about it is that when I realized that I was so reactive to all of these things around me, so distracted that I couldn't focus, I wrote it all down. I created a self-analysis process for myself where I pretty much wrote down everything that I thought was holding me back from achieving the peak focus and working without distractions. And really, I tried to understand what was distracting me so much. What were those old behaviors and limiting habits that were keeping me stuck? And the most important thing is that I became clear on who I need to become. Like, what type of entrepreneur do I need to be right now to actually achieve this big focus? But not only that, but to work it more efficiently and achieve actually all those tasks and goals that I set for myself. Once you get clear on who you need to be and you act as if you're already that person, by upgrading your identity and becoming this 2.0 version of yourself, you can actually rewire your brain. As you will repeat this process, you will notice that all of those bad habits, all of those distractions will suddenly go all away. But of course, it's a process, and sometimes old identity, old limiting behaviors and bad habits, the old programming will show up. And those things are called usually impulses and urges, right? So what to do when all of these urges and impulses show up, when you want to check the social media, when you want to unblock the feed, when you want to go on YouTube, but you know that you cannot, what you do in that moment is that you become aware. You don't try to judge yourself. You don't try to fix anything. You don't act. You try to be proactive rather than reactive. And the first step to actually do that is to become aware of your thoughts. To get rid of any bad habit out there, not even not being able to focus, but any habit that you can think of, the first step is to actually observe your thoughts. So you stop for a moment, you take a deep breath, and you start to observe what are you thinking. You start to see your urges trying to break you. You see those impulses trying to trick your brain and overwhelm you. The next step to that is to ask yourself a question. What would a 2.0 version of me do right now? Well, the answer from there is obvious, because what you want to always do right after you ask you that question, you want to get clear on what would the new version of you do at this moment, and then act like that. Make the decision from that state. And by simply doing this quick exercise, you'll be able to get back to work with ease, and you won't be distracted anymore. So to summarize all of these steps for you, get clear on who you are as a person right now to get a better understanding of what is holding you back. Craft a new version of yourself, this new 2.0 identity of yourself. Visualize before you work. This is also huge. Whenever you try to sit behind your desk and do one task, visualize yourself doing that. Visualize yourself actually having those vices, having those impulses trying to bring you down. Visualize yourself starting this behavior. Like, for example, just to make it clear, visualize yourself trying to write content, right? But your old programming, your old behavior was always to click on to YouTube and watch entertaining videos, for example. So what you do is that you visualize exactly that, what I've just mentioned, but instead of actually clicking on that YouTube and watching that video, you visualize yourself conquering those impulses by simply exiting YouTube and going back to work, going back to the task you were doing. And if you do it continuously, then all of a sudden you won't have these urges to go on YouTube anymore, because you are going to be this identity that is not aligned with distractions. So act as if you're already that 2.0 version of yourself, and whenever you're getting distracted, ask yourself a question: what would a 2.0 version of me do at this moment? By now, I hope you understand that the foundation is really an internal change, and all of those surface level solutions such as 5-minute focus hacks or putting your phone on airplane mode, these are like cherry on the top of the cake, right? So first you need to build strong foundations, and you do that by what I mentioned in this video, really becoming clear on who you need to be, and then rewiring your old programming of how you conduct your tasks. So do this exercise that I mentioned a couple of seconds ago. Whenever you get distracted, always ask yourself a question: what would you do? Or what would a wealthy version of you do? What would a 100K per month version of you do? Just get clear on that and observe your thoughts. Learn and teach your brain how to be proactive rather than reactive. And by doing that, you'll be finally able to focus. That brings me to the end of this video. So if you like this video, make sure that you hit the thumbs up, subscribe for more content on peak performance and efficiency, and I'll see you on the next one.